Thank you so much for coming today. You spoke about the 8 worldly dharmas earlier.
Being a very modern Lama, I took them off the Rigpa Wikipedia.
Well, I suppose that's as good a place as anywhere else. Well, we all suffer from them at different times in different amounts. And in fact, they can be just wicked, just intensely powerful. So when that happens to you, do you have a strategy different from anything else that anyone might have said today so far?
What anyone might have said today so far. Well, I can't claim to have that kind of omniscience.
Well, okay,
but
different from anything we might have read or heard or...
Yeah. Well, without regard to what you may have heard or read, I can say this much at least, that everything always comes back to first principles. And the first principle that is most important here is the one I mentioned almost at the beginning, which is that we always have the capacity to be aware of what is happening in our mind and to us as it is happening. And it's very much a question of whether we remember and choose to remember that we have that capacity, and so apply that awareness or that attention to what is happening to see that while seemingly we are doing something for a valuable purpose, we are doing it in fact with at least some deeply rooted hope that we will be acknowledged or rewarded for having done it. So we have to see that. When we see it, then we see it for what it is, and we can laugh in its face. It is our own face. We can laugh. All the energy or life is sucked out of it, and it's gone. It's only when we see through the lens of a negative view or emotion that the negative view or emotion is not detectable to us. When we see the lens as well as what is seen through the lens, then we remember that it's only a lens, and it can be replaced with another lens, which is called loving kindness or compassion or clarity or insight. So it always comes back to being aware of your own mind. Not in a self-conscious sense. Please, I hope no one here makes that kind of mistake, where you're just so rigid, busily watching yourself do everything that you're almost paralyzed and you can't do anything. Not that kind of self-consciousness, which is the ego doubling on itself, but just the naturally present awareness, presence of mind, to remember to see the mind as it is playing its role in making up this drama. Okay? There's no other way. The other way is worse, which is when you see the terrible results and you say, oh, that's what I was really doing, but then it's too late. Try to do it sooner than that.
Please forgive the observation. It didn't feel like 40 minutes, but 5 minutes into which 90 were packed. Can you tell us, please?
That's unforgivable. Yes.
The 4 levels of confidence, the first being the... What are the other 3, please?
Thank you so much. The second principle, Dharma moving towards the path, embodies the second level of faith or confidence, which is called Dharma, or the faith of real longing or wishing. So now we have more of an informed and intelligent sense of what the Dharma can really offer as a set of teachings, methods, and techniques for effecting the kind of transformation that we want in our lives. And so now we more purposefully wish for it to be so, or say, you know, I really, really care about this. I understand the value of it. I'm going to pursue it. So Dharma. So it's more advanced, more sophisticated, and therefore more reliable or deeper than the first kind, where you just feel a sense of wonder or awe or being impressed or stopped in your tracks, but you don't really know yet why or what it's about. So now you're starting to be more sophisticated and educated about your own spiritual path. And so it becomes of increasingly heightened interest and importance for you. That's the second level. And so tomorrow when we talk about the third and fourth principles, if I forget, then you can remind me to talk about how those correspond as well to the third and fourth levels of confidence.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, thank you for the talk. I wanted to just follow up on the first question a little bit. I was wondering if it's skillful at times when you do have a lot of confusion or negative emotions or kleshas, whatever it would be, to try and practice Tonglen and such practices, or is that just sort of rehabituating different karma in a non-skillful way?
That question goes directly to the third principle that we will discuss in some detail tomorrow, which is about how the path, once we are committed to it, removes confusion. Because that is the point at which we can talk about all of the different types of methods and practices and how they work and why they start affecting this transformation. Once we are on the path, what is it that we are actually doing with our minds, with our speech, with our bodies to cause this transformation to happen? What is the transformation that happens, just to give you a preview? Removing negativity and enhancing or developing our positive states, our positive qualities. That's the process that continues all along the path through such methods as Tonglen, taking and sending meditation, or deity yoga, visualization practice in Vajrayana, or even Salung breathing exercise, 6 yoga practices in the path of method in Vajrayana, or all the other types of spiritual practices that we can apply. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow. The only jail is the thoughts and emotions that are destructive and control the mind because we're not observing or aware that that's what's happening. That's the prison that we have created, that we live in too much of the time, whether we are locked behind bars or chained to our desk in the office or wherever else we might be. That process where we're racing so hard to spin that wheel that it starts to feel that actually the wheel is spinning us. We think that we are the ones deciding what's important and what's not important, that these are our thoughts and we're in control, until the thoughts make it clear that they have taken over and we're just doing their bidding. What even makes them our thoughts anymore? Who is the I who owns or possesses those thoughts when it feels so much like it's the other way around, right? Yes, so congratulations for being liberated from your prison for now.
Thank you for your talk this afternoon. When we begin sitting, usually we take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, 3 jewels. In your talk, you said, take refuge to remember and apply. What are we remembering and applying, please?
We are remembering the Buddha as the teacher and as the best example we can bring to mind of a being, a person who has seen the path of practice through to its conclusion, to its final result. So as a role model or exemplar, we are relying on those teachings given by the Buddha, having been practically proven through the example of his life and the examples of the lives of so many people who followed and took those teachings to heart and applied them in their lives and got the same or similar results. And we are relying upon those serious and dedicated practitioners whose common experience with our own or even superior experience give us a sounding board and genuine, well-intentioned friends to rely upon when we get confused by what is happening within our own minds or lives or bodies. So we are remembering to do that. And I was suggesting that we can remember or need to remember to do that spurred or stimulated by the very fact that we see that we are not doing it. When we see that we have failed to remember and to turn our trust and attention to those sources of refuge and fallen back on habits that don't really help us, patterns of thought, patterns of negative emotion, patterns of physical conduct or speech, when those themselves become the reminders that we've gone off course and need to turn back, reorient ourselves, that's when we are taking refuge again. Those are the refuges. We have to seize them, we have to take them, we have to seek refuge. Okay?
Thank you.
It's nice to see you again.
You too.
Speaking about thoughts, thoughts come and go, and so that actually, if you're concerned about a negative thought, allowing the negative thought to be itself, it will eventually disperse and just, not be there. So could you, talk about that?
That's true. But what did you say? You said, if you just allow the negative thought to arise and vanish, no harm is done. Of course, that's true. That means that you have brought this level of awareness or perspective on what is happening within the mind. You have actually applied that. You have brought that to bear. And so you're not getting caught on that thought such that you then think about that thought and then think about that and then think about that in this unbroken chain, so that the negative emotion that's at the heart of it just gets intensified and intensified and intensified until you believe it's the absolute truth about what's really happening and you need to do something about it right away. Okay? So when you're not getting hinged onto that thought process or chain of concepts, then of course the thought just being a bubble in your mind can do no real harm at all. Again, it's like I said before about whether you are seeing blindly through the lens of the negative thought or emotion, or you are seeing at the same time that that lens is just another phenomena, another moment arising in your field of experience. Mm-hmm. You see it or you see through it blindly.
Thank you.
Mm.